All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the World Arena Podcast, aka the Wopcast. Today, Firas and I are joined by Turn 2 Master Livert. Thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. So,
Nice to finally get you on.
yeah, for sure. Finally, a Turn 2 player, so the comments can stop
Harassing us.
yeah, stop harassing. That we're all just
Wait,
everyone we
I
have
guess
on
in
is
that case,
complaining about the
I should
same
just
stuff.
show this unit.
Yeah, just show the Antares, the Turn 2.
We figured we never
Carry.
knew till today Antares is the key turn 2 unit. Now we
Yep.
know. Thank you. I guess podcast is over now. We can see you guys next week.
Or that other unit below it to the right that's currently breaking the pick rate.
One.
Yeah, currently breaking the pick rate record for a single unit in a season, which is ridiculous. But
well, that's a really nice Masha, man.
is that on Swift?
Yeah, I've
No,
never.
I was gonna say that's
man, I
not.
thought
I
that
was
was
gonna say
on
that's not
bio.
Violet. No.
That was so
I didn't
exciting.
even pick it once yet.
Yeah, no, it's.
So. Yeah,
But
like I wanted to like use this rune, but.
Ooh. What are you
very
waiting for a
nice.
+5 or?
Dude, you're ready to be a turn 1 player. It's within you. It's just you haven't unleashed it yet. That's all.
Obviously, more success with turn 2.
You haven't seen. I mean, you just saw my kind of my Swift runes, but
180,
like,
dude. You're booming. You're faster than for us. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's better than me. No doubt.
yeah, and that's
yeah.
with that base speed.
Yeah, at the time of recording this, we're only like 5 days into the season, so I don't expect. I mean, I personally haven't missed any wings yet because I'm a psychopath, but I don't know how many you guys have played yet.
I've missed 60, I think, just because of work.
Yeah,
But yeah.
Like 74.
but yeah, I mean, how's your experience going so far for this season? I mean, it feels pretty turn 2 favored, so I think you're probably enjoying it a little bit at least.
It's kind of better than last season, I would say, so far. But
Yeah,
also, I'm kind of wondering how they managed to pull off another unit that's just similarly retarded as Oliver with Dominic.
yeah. I don't know. Like, what do you guys think between Dominic and Masha though? Like, who's more toxic?
Dominic. I still vote
Really?
Dominic. Yeah.
I don't
For me
know.
personally as well, since I don't really care about Marsha, since
Yeah, that's
most
true.
units are 100 res anyway, so she's not gonna defense break a whole lot, and she basically does nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Dominic's like my favorite way to word it is just he's not a racist. He hits everything equally, pretty much. So he like but Masha, like she has a lot of limitations. She's obviously still a very good unit. It's still like personally, even if she is becoming the most picked unit as of now, and she's still seeing great success, I am still not bothered by it. Where I like personally like say, oh, she needs to be nerfed because she's fucking good. Like sometimes she does bend me right over, and I'm fine with it though. It doesn't feel like when I get bent over by a Oliver or a Dominic or I don't know any other busted unit, like or a light monkey even, or like those absurd units. Like when you see them, you're like, God damn, I'm gonna get screwed because they're so
Yeah.
good. Masha is like so good, but it still doesn't bother me when I like lose her, unless it's 1,000 procs. But that's not Masha, right? So
I think her kid
that's
is actually like I think the buff that it did to her was good, and that the kid is kind of what it's supposed to be now. So I think people maybe just have to learn how to play against it a little, and then she will probably get picked less.
Yeah, I think she doesn't really have any like natural predators in this meta though right now, because like most people are using like AoE strips and things like that, which are generally pretty long cooldowns and stuff like that. So it always feels like when you're fighting a Masha, it's like once your first wave goes through, if you haven't managed to completely lock her down, which is really fucking hard because she can't be pushed back, and you've got to land your strip first, then you've got to land something else, and like once she gets that immunity going, it's really hard to like stop that chain because there's not a lot of great like constant strips. Like, I mean, I guess you could use like more water monkey or chilling or something, but that's a little overreacting to just Masha.
Just Diana her, I guess.
Yeah, just Diana her. Like that would be like if there was a different element equivalent to something like Diana that could actually like do something and strip every turn, that would be pretty good. But it's just tough to like keep her down. Like at least with Dominic, he has no like defensive mechanisms. Like once you get him like stripped, once you get him under control, get his attack bar like pushed back and stuff like that, he feels much more manageable. But I guess for like turn 2, the Dominic's probably moving in front of you, so you've just got to take that massive chunk that requires no setup at all.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that probably feels pretty shitty.
Yeah, I mean, like you're even if you're having the fire unit, he's just like if he procs once, something is dead, then it's I don't know. It's just
I know this is RTA discussion, but he's really oppressive on siege defenses as well. Because really hard, you can't. It's hard to go turn 2 against a Dominic in a siege defense because just like
procs.
like that. That's probably the number one reason. Because even with your reduction from you have 24% reduction from wind, he's still like chonking you like mad.
That doesn't work on Dominic.
It should on his passive. Does it not?
I don't think so.
I believe it does. Why wouldn't it work?
Because
even if it's true,
your damage. Your damage.
Is it working like artifacts? Is that what you're telling me? His passive?
Well, damage dealt and damage, like additional damage, don't do anything on that passive. So why would reduction? I mean, I haven't tested reduction. I actually don't know, but I know that additional damage or whatever, it just goes into his like mega bajillion hits that he does at first, and then that last hit is not affected by it. So I mean, maybe reduction still works. I personally haven't tested it, but I don't think it does.
I feel like it's supposed to. If it doesn't, that almost bug territory to me, at least.
Well, does it do that for any passive damage? Like, if you have wind reduction, do you reduce the amount per hit that Feng Yan deals? I don't think so.
I can't say for sure, actually.
I'm not sure either.
He just made it. I thought it was a pretty good assumption to make that.
Yeah, maybe it does. I honestly don't know. I didn't think it worked like that, but maybe it does. I'm not sure. Siege people would know better than me because that's more.
I can actually message some Siege people now.
Yeah.
Want to answer on podcast.
Yeah, I'm curious. But even then, it's like, I guess if you had like 20%, maybe it's doing something. But if he procs, he's still probably doing like at least 80% of your health, at least.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Like, even if you do have 24% or something, he still chonks you like mad. Doesn't matter how good your stats are. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, but like with the minus damage, I feel like it's kind of weird right now anyway, since there's still some players running around with the Malong stuff. So you kind of want to have still like the minus water, and then there's Marsha around, so you kind of want to have minus fire, and then there's Dominic, so you kind of want them all.
Yep. Yeah, and I love Com2us's thought process too when they're doing these balance patches where it's like, let's release like 2 of the craziest damage dealers ever in Masha and Dominic while simultaneously nerfing Nana. It's like so now all of a sudden at the same time that you get these damage dealers that just delete shit, we lose the only good reviver at the same time. So now
I think that's actually a good thing, because for me personally, Nana is the most scary when you pair her up with the snipes. She's kind of in that.
She is, yeah.
She's kind of in that, I would say, in that Moore spot, or so that spot, but where Moore was on, where he was supposed to counter the turn 1 stuff.
But he just
started enabling it, and with Nana it's just basically the same thing. She's supposed to stop the snipe comms, but she's also enabling them at the same time.
Yeah, it creates like a back and forth in the draft though, because like hopefully you don't let your opponent get all 3. And I mean, I know that that's tough because it's like, if you don't own those units, what are you supposed to do? Like, especially Dominic and Nana, they're fairly newish units. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people missing Dominic and Nana. Like, that's probably pretty common. But it's just tough because it's like, I just don't know what the counter to Dominic is. Because even units like Abellio and stuff, who will cut attack bar wise. If the Dominic procs, you still just lose your unit. Like, it's not like you really cut him. You just kind of get bar and hope he doesn't proc, then you can heal back up. But
yeah,
I don't know.
That's at least how I would even use the Abellio against, because I don't own Dominic or Abellio. But if I owned an Abellio into a Dominic, like taking it into a Dominic,
Yeah,
I would be in that situation where I just hope Dominic doesn't proc.
it's what a lot of people do right now.
Heal.
Yeah,
What's scary about Dominic, he also applies the heal block, right? So it might not even be the best thing. Like, it'll still help you, obviously.
What is it's his
S1.
Yeah, so he's usually not doing that on turn 1. He's usually trying to light you up with his S2 first. So you're probably not getting heal blocked, but
in a turn 1 situation, no. Like at the beginning of the match. Sorry.
Yeah, because you're just trying to cut. You're trying to cut Dominic's first blast, and then hopefully he doesn't proc. You get to heal, stabilize, but that's not like I don't consider that a real win condition. Like,
no.
That's kind of rough. But what have you found has like actually worked against it though for Dominic? Because I'm sure he's much more problematic for you than he is for like turn 1 style teams.
Just let me check. Because I don't really like, I hate it when I have to play him and Oliver. So much I can say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in general,
Dominic's.
Where is it?
How does Leona fare? Does she get her shield on the first time he makes contact with her, and then?
No, like he gets the whole turn off basically, and then the shield comes afterwards.
That's not great.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
it's for sure rough.
Still just die.
Yeah, but still, like, I don't know. I can kind of tank it. I think here I ban Gianna.
Yeah, it's the Triana's interesting though. Is that on Nemesis for this?
No, it's on Will.
Oh, okay.
With Oliver running rampant, you can't really go off Will Triana.
Yeah.
Oh, receive from water.
So receive from water down. Yeah, that was a weak Dominic though. 7K on the last hit.
Yeah.
I think mine does like 9.6 or something like that right now on turn 1.
But, like, at this point, it's basically just kill Oliver and then just
everyone else solos, in theory.
Keep the Dominic in check with the Leona stuns.
Yeah, I like the I'm assuming at least Leona and Annabelle are probably max res too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Masha's kind of fucked versus those two. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, well, I guess like almost max res, but
yeah, close enough. If it's my Masha with 7 accuracy, I think you're fine.
Do you just like not obviously it's not your entire box that'll be pushing 100 res, because I used to years ago when I first got Nyx, is I would be pushing for 100 res comps with a leader skill though. Because then I was always make sure all my units had 45, or I used to run tolerance set on my Nyx actually, so I could run 35 res. So if they did leave my Nyx, I would take that res lead, and I'd just be obviously max resistance, and I'd hope for the best from there, that I don't get bent over by the low accuracy units. But not to see it nowadays, still like, because I always feel like res died off mainly after artifacts came out, just because everyone was able to finally max their key skills on the turn 1 clapping. You know what I mean? Like Chung Pong only needs S3 maxed, and an example, if you were trying to play turn 2 against someone who's going heavy turn 1 on you. And it always failed for me, just because I always noticed like I don't res anything anymore, not consistently enough. And so I'm curious, how are you still pulling it off is what I'm asking. How are you still doing this when I can't do it anymore with a Nyx passive on top of being 100 res? I need to know, because I would love to implement something if I can.
I would say into CC comps, it's gotten way harder than like back in the day. Like before artifacts was kind of like also before AoE strips, right? So before Chiwu basically is when I started playing like this.
Yeah.
And back then it was a lot of single target strip setup where you just kind of needed to know, like, I don't know, Hathor probably is 85 accuracy, so that you're probably like you're getting stripped by it.
Yeah.
Lauren the same, but if you see like a water monkey or something like that, you knew it's kind of like low accuracy, or Savannah even, or Barbara, where it's like maybe a 50-50, and then you could kind of calculate how much, or estimate how many strips the opponent is going to land, and you just needed to pick enough units to kind of play around it. But nowadays, with all the AoE strips that don't need any other stats anymore, or that they basically just need to be like on a support build or something, and they don't need crit damage or anything.
They just do their damage now.
It's just
from artifacts.
Really hard. Yeah, it's just hard against that. It's just still good against units that are basically crit damage based. Because with crit damage based units, like I don't know, like a Vanessa, or I don't know, Ragdoll, even though
Masha's a great example.
Marsha, for example, as well. Narsha could be a good example as well, since getting that one to high accuracy is also pretty hard. Like against those, it still works. Or I guess Han is also still a really good example.
Qualifies. So it's just me. I'm unlucky.
It's basically about knowing how, I would say, how runes work, and on which units you can allow to go, or people are able to go for high accuracy, and on which units they aren't. So in certain situations, like if someone picks a Han, I automatically know if I want to let it in, the whole team needs to be on res. I cannot draft like a Juno or something anymore, like an Antares, because they're just like getting wrecked.
They just kill that one.
So that's why you first pick Annabelle. So this actually explains the Annabelle first. Like obviously, I don't think she's a bad first pick. I don't think it's something to meme on saying that Annabelle's a bad first pick by any means. She brings a lot to the table. But her having as your opener first pick makes more sense now, because that's your way of pivoting as in your play style. Because at least you always start off with a 100 res unit, and if you find that your opponent's going into this low accuracy, high damage comp, then you can commit to the rest of your units being also 100 res, and you won't lose a unit right off the bat, most likely, or maybe partially likely. So, because it's going to be very unlikely for them to land that defense break or land that CC from the monkey or whoever, or the strip even in some cases. So yeah, I feel this Annabelle first pick thing is explained now with that comment, at least to me. If anyone else was ever curious, but because only you and who was it? Someone else. I believe they were a Japanese player.
I think you. LK Man is the only other guy that I know.
That's exactly who. Yes, LK Man. That's right. Yeah. I don't know if he's still till today. I don't feel like
I think he pulled like an Ongyuki or something, and after that he kind of pivoted away from it.
Converted?
Hell yeah. That's what I like to hear. Now we just need to get you to pull an Ongyuki. But
I don't know if you want that, because into that defense break it probably hits pretty hard.
Oh god, I know. But like, how do you can you show like your Abellio's rune? Like, I'm curious, do you rune units like that even on 100 res, like Abellio?
Abellio, I don't have him that long, so I didn't have a lot of time to play around with him. But for example, like, I guess a better example would be like this build.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Or
at least that like explains.
Or this one.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many other people like rune like that, but I do sometimes get like triggered when I'm fighting people's like random units, and I'm like, there's no way that thing's 100 res. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm fighting you and it is 100 res. Maybe your Molong is actually 100 res.
Is your Molong actually 100 res?
Yeah, but I think you can see it quite well when it comes to the speeds, because pulling it off with like 180 plus 180 or something,
you gotta be
and
Thompson
then still having not even then. I think if you're going for like a plus 180 with 100 res, it's like a speed HP res build, so it's probably not that tanky. So you'll either notice it because it's you'll notice it because it's either because it's squishy or because it's slow. Like if it's really slow, you can assume it's probably 100 res.
Yeah, it's just tough with certain units. Like, just for example, like Thompson's Bison that he showed when we had him on the podcast. Like, it's like 180, 85 AC, 100 res, via will, and it's like okay. And it's like with a bison is never squishy. His base stats are just fucking enormous. Like, so even once you hit it, you're like, okay, it still seems kind of tanky. Like, what the hell's like those units? It's like, but I mean, he's the only person who can build that shit, so it doesn't even some
maybe only like select people on Earth.
Yeah, he hacked into the mainframe. He's got 7 runes on. It's the only way.
I think you're right.
You don't get that with 6 runes. It's impossible.
That makes sense.
Yeah, plus 180 with those stats is like really hard. I mean,
it's just ridiculous.
Cardinal in my case is not really. It's not the most efficient set, so it's probably
his secret is
this, but still.
His secret is the very high efficient res runes that he gets on his slot 6.
He must re-app them. He has to.
100% he does. I was thinking
it's
about
ridiculous.
I'm like, man, I kind of want to pull off some cheesy 100 res units, and like nobody will expect it. And then I realized like I don't have any quality res runes, and that's when I realized this guy's re-apping res runes. There's no other way to do this. See, I have my Nora's not 100 res, but I see that I still kind of I've been bringing it back, like I said earlier. I get my units around 45 res in case they. Oh, you did on triple revenge. That's kind of toxic, dude.
I hate this guy.
You're my arch nemesis. Can I see your artifact for S1?
Yeah, they are not. It's not that good, sadly. But I would like more recovery. But
yeah, or if you had other. I really like additional damage as a secondary, my secondary stats with recovery. So that's how, because I wanted to. People underestimate how much, like even if you're just a single target unit, you can get an extra 2k on that S1 hit. Like, would you rather be hitting 500 damage without, or like obviously no additionals? Would you rather be hitting 500 damage, or if you had additional damage, like I put on my Hagang as well? I'd want his S1 to do 2200 rather than 500.
Yeah, but we play differently though. We play the style of trying to get rid of that Nora as fast as possible, so that's why we value that.
Like on my own Nora, I put additional damage on top of like.
Yeah, but you're not playing that Nora.
No, I'm not playing that. No,
I would like additional damage in here as well, but I would still prefer the S1 recovery.
I have
on triple revenge for sure.
Additionals. I've got pretty lucky with my artifact actually on that one.
I mean, she even soloed someone like 1v4, so.
Okay, that's a bit much.
Well, I mean, yeah, she heals herself on the S1 revenges, and her damage is just static with her dots and her other skill, so it makes sense.
Maybe I should look into that triple revenge Nora, because right now I'm. Go ahead.
No, I didn't see in your box, but have you been using Shizuka too?
I don't know if her ruled up, but I didn't really try her yet.
She's been like the biggest pain in the it's my least favorite thing to see a turn 2 player draft. I don't know how to deal. I don't even know how to evaluate like approaching a turn 2 player who's got like something like an Annabelle or something like that, and then also a Shizuka. I'm like, what do I even? Which one do I reset? Which one do I kill? Like, where do I even start?
Yeah, for me, as weird as it is, Sekhmet works quite well against her. Even though, like, she provides a lot of debuffs, so you would think that she's kind of weird against it, but...
No, I do the same thing as well. So I run in tandem with Sekhmet. I also run Cigar as well. But in theory, we know how strip cooldowns generally work out most of the time for us, but it is like your best option unless you're gonna. I'm not seeing enough of this. If you can run Rune Tiana, like you don't need to have a 220 Tiana to be justified on runes, but as long as you can rune a Swift Tiana on crit damage and just faster than your rest of your comp, and you want to like really guarantee that you can cool down the Shizuka or something, people really should be runing their Tianas in that situation. I feel
because if you cool down a Shizuka with Tiana.
Well, like if you want to reduce the let's say like with my Cigar, because that's what I did
for like cigars,
yeah, like to minimize the chance of that 15% kicking in. It's not like Tiana doesn't bring less to the table. You know, her S2 is nutty now, right?
No, it's not though, because now she's just a Leo bait, and then you always have to get like you're gonna get Antaurus. And then they're not going to let you ban Antares because but they already took the Antares. It's half these people's first pick. Like the Antares is already there, so like you've already picked Cigar or whatever. Antares is there, and now comes in the last pick Leo, and then you have to bet. If anyone knows about picking Tiana to this guy,
I'm not saying the first pick it. I'm saying as I
never first pick it either. It just doesn't work. It's food. It's food for the RNG comps. And like the S2 always critting, it's not a good thing because then you just fight like ragdoll type teams. They're slow, so your damage is super low. Yeah, but that is the team you would pick it against.
No, well, not anymore.
You're saying keep it slow so you can use it versus slower teams to guarantee a strip. What do those slower teams have in G3?
Hold on, I'm gonna have to.
What slow team are you fighting that has no RNG units in it that you can just flop your Tiana?
I'm trying to remember, like the Dominic Shizuka, like the ones that don't have the heavy RNG is where I'm saying she's a good option.
So 1 in every 500 matches you might be able to.
Those runes that you're gonna throw on Tiana, that guarantees you a win. Is that really a bad thing to have runes where you only have to have her faster than your certain Vio and Despair units? I don't think it's a big. Maybe my rune pool allows it, but if you have that option, I don't see it as a bad thing.
Doesn't it also kind of depend? Like if you're going more often like a single target snipe kind of way for a turn 1 comp, then I wouldn't expect you to see that many RNG units.
A snipe comp
compared
maybe.
To when you run like CC. But then for a snipe comp, you don't really need the AoE strip setup, I would say.
Yeah, and she's weird too because you can't use her with Ryu. Because if you use her with Water Ryu, they always just ban her and just force your Ryu to fuck you over. Because that's just what Water Ryu. So it's like it's got to be like a Chung Pung comp or something. But then Chung Pung does bait out those Antares type.
Yeah,
I don't
immediately.
know. I don't know if anyone's picked more Tiana than me in the past couple of years, and she's vanished. It's just there's too many units that just shit on her. She's actually good versus Masha if you can get Masha under control, but the problem is because she'll just take Masha right off her mount like immediately with an S2. But the problem is if you don't get Masha under control and Masha takes a turn, then she has immunity and now you don't auto crit. So it's like it's super risky, but.
Okay.
The play is there though. The play is it's not an absurd play against it. Like I think it can be justified to have that rune set that is just fast enough to work on your side.
I think the best working Tianas that I've seen were just with like Nephthys.
Yep.
Cover. So I would say without that,
stuff. Yeah.
That's a different use than what I'm talking about, because those Tianas are going to be like on a certain Swift set, and you're going to have to dedicate that high Swift set to your Tiana, and then you always think about, can I take my Tiana here? I'm talking about a Tiana runed just enough, like what plus 190, plus 197, whatever it is that gets you in front of your Vio units, and that's it. And she has still the rest of the efficient stats that she would need, if obviously on a dank ass Swift set. And then you have her as that last pick where you're not like, okay, there's no Leo Verd, there's no Antares. If they pick it, I can ban it because it's either your 4-5 pick or 5th pick. And they have a Dominic Shizuka, blah, blah, blah. And at least maybe it's just my comp where it works out where I can think that way and say, if I throw Tiana here just for this guaranteed strip, there's such a low chance of him 15 rezzing me and completely shitting on me. That's the Tiana situation / build I'm talking about, where it doesn't take away from your main rune pool. That's really it. That doesn't take away from your main rune pool. That's all it is.
Yeah,
that's maybe. Where, like, I'm not saying you force it. I'm not saying, this is, I gotta really think, could I use my fucking Tiana here? No, man, that's it.
I guess I've never fought this team. I just want to fight this team that you're fighting that doesn't have Leo or doesn't have Vert. Like, that's a wet dream. Or doesn't have Sekhmet too. Like, it has to not have Sekhmet, otherwise you're fucked. Because you're never outspeeding it.
It's not going to take away from.
That's respectable. I respect that. You just have it in storage. You still have it ruined, but it's just in storage. He said he doesn't have a Verd.
Yeah, I never picked
Okay, now I'm
Virgin
really interested. How are you pulling off more?
100 res?
Is it even ruined? I don't know. Where is it? There.
Perfect.
Yeah. Does that count as ruined?
Yes. 50% of the time, it works all the time. So
yeah,
what do you
100
do?
res style is interesting.
I'm curious, like how do you fight the heavy turn 1 LD comps? Do you just hope that your 100 res pulls through, or do you have like those odd Swift units, like for example, like a Swift segment or a Swift Ethna or whatever, the high base speed, and you hope that that one unit, like what's your idea for that?
Oh, I'm not sure what comps you're exactly referring to.
Like
The
Oliver, Gianna, and then
Nephthys.
add another AoE LD into that as well, and then it doesn't matter. Nephthys, Light Monkey, soon
Yeah.
Veronica, soon be to well, maybe not Destiny, but like is the best example in that. But like stuff like that, the Oliver Gianna comps in a G3 level, you know these units are max accuracy most likely. So I've been surprised by some people's builds I've seen, but like the fact they're just not max accuracy. They have the speed and everything, but they don't have the accuracy. So let's just assuming you fight someone you know, they have an Oliver, Gianna, they'll have another AoE strip of some sort that suits the business. Like kind of not exactly what you showed there, because that's kind of a mix and mash. But like the heavy,
Those are the turn 1 comps now, really, though.
I guess that is true. Actually, the ones that can just delete the certain comp. That's why I guess you're having same issues with Dominic. I am. That's be one good example here.
But do you run any like Nem traps or anything like that?
No Nem traps, no.
What's that? Go to that Ryu Chungpung one. Like, how do you fight those like heavy? Or never mind.
That's not even heavy.
That's not as AoE CC as I just saw Ryu and Chungpung and thought it was more AoE CC.
Everyone's changed. Everyone's changed how they play.
I've completely ditched AoEs other than Grogan. I just run a bunch of single target shit in front of him now. I hate. AoE just doesn't work anymore. It's really bad.
Yeah, just like to answer the question, I think that's like the only Swift thing that I've built. To counter basically what's hard for me as a turn 2 is, for example, Jogun teams. Like if they Jogun cleave, that's like really hard to deal with, because usually it's really hard to tank or close to impossible to tank, depending on how the team is built up. So I kind of need to outspeed there and try to reset, so you can use like Sekhmet or like a Hagang or something.
Yeah.
Though I didn't really try him that much yet.
Oh,
other than that, like the only Swift one that I've built is this guy, to snipe Lucians.
Lucians, that's funny.
Yeah, because those are like really untankable, kind of.
No, that's and you don't own an Ethna?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but she doesn't have her own speed lead. You'd have to pick speed leads with her.
I usually start with like Annabelle.
Oh, that's this might be the first time I've seen that usage for an Orochi. This actually is the first time. Because I ran like in Special League, I'd run Swift Jin, and I hope that if I can catch a unit off will, like on Swift as well, but I hope that if there's a Swift unit off will, and they're not expecting my Jin to be Swift, I just push it back with the S2 in theory. But you ruining an Orochi like this, can this like kill more than just Illusion though? Like what else could it kill with these stats?
I guess Poseidon as well, if it's like a damage Poseidon, but it's like 4k per hit on Illusion.
And that's how many?
6 hits.
Orochi does 6? This is like I don't know. I'm fucking so. This is like the smartest thing I've seen
that
all
would kill
year.
my Lucian twice when I had it ruined for cleave. Yeah, but that's not outspeeding me, so it doesn't matter.
I kind of have to play like this, because usually if people run still like Bastet cleaves or something, the Bastets are like plus 220 something nowadays. And I don't have such a fast Swift set, so I have to use units that are like higher in base speed.
Yeah.
And usually I play with into cleave with like Annabelle, Vanessa, Triana first, so I already have a 33 lead.
Yeah.
Which usually also means speed lead advantage, since if they're running into like a tanky team as mine, and they are picking like a Pisama or something, they don't have enough damage, so they kind of need to.
Yeah,
I guess the
don't even
most
pick a
speed
lead.
lead heavy thing that you're facing would be like a Bestat Tablo Jemaya kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's only 24 lead, and then with this guy and like another pass unit, where you could use Efna or I think I don't know, it's still ruined.
Orochi being the 2-in-1, because normally like my Swift Ethna, she's not really designed to strip, and I hope I stun. I designed her, and the way I hope that it would be enough just to bring it up to the 50 for the guaranteed stun. But if Orochi can output more damage than Ethna's S3, which I don't know about, you would have to tell me if she can do more. Then
of course,
Orochi does more.
Yeah,
like a lot.
It's a sixth. Like, it's a sixth hit. It definitely does more.
It's 6 hits. Ethna
six
does
hit,
5.
and it's also speed scaling. So
yeah,
and speed scaling.
Ethna's a 5 hit.
Oh my god!
But
the most slept on thing of all time.
Yeah, but it just depends though. Like if someone like me who's already prioritizing speed leads within other units in my draft, I'd rather have the Ethna who's just 119 base speed instead of 107, but then also just has a super good S2 and her S3 stuns as well. Because then you don't. Orochi has to kill the thing that he hits. Ethna just has to put it down.
Yeah, but if you're
it's like, different for you guys since you're going for like turn 1 anyways, but I'm like in a super heavy turn 2 setup, and I have 2 units left to like turn it around. So
exactly, you can't pick a speed lead and an Ethna. Then it's just obvious. Then the person just bans the Ethna.
I mean, the other thing that I tried before to take out Lucians was Swift Marsha last pick with a Rage Leo, like on a fat Lucian set, to just one shot the Lucian. But that was kind of like 18. It was like 18k damage, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So
yeah.
I really like this Orochi idea though, because for like if you don't want to first pick a speed lead, and then like you want to have like a unit where either like let's say some people can run a segment without a speed lead to be plus 240 because they have an absurd Swift set. That can still outspeed a decent amount of people with just a 24 lead, and then beside that segment, you throw down this Orochi with a built-in speed lead, and you can just take out certain cleavers. I don't know. I just love this idea. I don't know why I've never seen it though. I've just never seen it till today. It's the theory of it's there's no way that's your best set on him either.
The segment had it.
No, I don't mean just in terms of speed, in terms of damage, unless you really have no Swift sets.
No, it was like, I mean, I kind of tuned him down a little bit since you're not really seeing that as much anymore, but I had him on like plus 203, plus 204, something like that.
Yeah, for that Tiana thing I was talking about, forget it. Rune and Orochi like that. Rune and Orochi instead that can do like this bop like a Poseidon or a Lucian or anything. Because like I wonder if you can make him strong enough to take out a Jemaya even.
I mean, you can, if you have really good Swift roots, maybe you can pull off a crit damage one, since this one is a crit rate. But
yeah,
I don't know if that's enough.
Rate? Or what's his awakening?
Maybe I'll try my Ethna set on him. See what happens.
The speed lead.
Damn, that's not. It's fine though, I guess. But I'm like flabbergasted, dude. I don't know why. Are you the original? Like, did you take this from somebody or you thought of it?
No, I thought of it.
This is like the best idea I've seen in Summoners War, probably. I'm just gonna make that claim right now. I don't know why it never crossed my mind. I used something similar with the same family, and this never crossed my mind.
No, this is the build right here. I just send you my Ethna runes. That's what's going on, Orochi. I'll see how that does.
that has to kill. That set, Zig should kill like I don't know. I need to know Orochi's damage.
I'm curious what that'll do to like a Jemaya or something.
Imagine you can one shot a Gianna. Probably
I don't know about Gianna, but
I'm with that much crit damage plus the additionals on top.
This thing's been pissing me off though. Like I mean, I have no accuracy. I understand that, but like I keep getting 5x rezzed by stuff, and I'm like, dude, I have 5 hits.
Exactly. Yeah, bullshit. But you should be able to bring him up to 50% with this, unless your artifacts are atrocious.
No, I'm getting 5x res stripping their will.
Oh, for the strip. Yeah. I kind of forgot that part of the deal.
It's so frustrating.
That's a quad.
Yeah, it's quad, right?
That's a sick
Yeah.
quad. Too bad it's not
Well-
damage dealt instead of damage taken, but that's still really nice RD. What about the right side? Yeah, like that's literally
like,
what you want,
okay-ish.
except for the revive, but whatever. We know
That thing
this.
honestly probably does more damage than my Ethna does, just because of a 6th hit and just the way additionals work. Like that's just, it's probably like 2,000-ish, just extra free damage. Goes through defense. You can do it to whatever you want. Like, it's pretty good.
I don't know, I'm gonna
I just
build
don't.
this.
I never fight any teams like that though. Like even the Ethna, I pick it like
Yeah,
once a
you
night.
don't,
Yeah.
right?
It's like once a night I pick an Ethna. It's just, I don't know. Those teams just are. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
I fight it all the
they're
time.
rare.
Yeah,
Rare for
Cleaves
you.
nowadays, like,
Probably.
this is still built from, like, I don't know, 7 seasons ago or something, when Bastard
Yeah.
Cleaves still were a thing, and then they are kind of getting rarer and rarer. And
Yeah,
like
they
at the
need to
start of
buff
the
that
season,
string master.
you maybe see some because like while you're climbing and you're still hitting like lower level players, so some are still just cleaving. So then it kind of finds some uses here and then. But
I think this
otherwise,
is
it's
gonna be the
hard.
best thing of this season, dude. Is
The only
erosion?
the only thing where he's still kind of usable is when people draft like those Tiana Neftis teams. Then sometimes they pivot into best evolution kind of things. Like they either go CC or they go the best evolution route. And if they go best evolution, then this is just
Yeah,
killing it.
yeah, and I mean you can still, like, those people use Poseidon a lot. I was gonna say they also use Kaki a lot, but you're probably not killing a Kaki unless you crit all 6 hits.
Dude, I don't know. I want to limit test this Orochi idea so bad. Like I want to know, like what, like if I'm not, you have to be able to kill certain Giannas with that. Not with this specific build, but I mean the idea. Without knowing, I don't even think I have an Orochi 6-star in general. I think I'm gonna check right now.
Never used it in Alunia? What the hell?
No,
That's the only reason I have them built.
I use only 5 stars. All right.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'm luxurious. Well,
But yeah, I mean, I do think Calm to Us is probably going to buff Cleave in like the near future, because like this game usually does go in cycles, and Cleave, like traditional Cleave, not CC Cleave, but like Cleave has been gone for quite a while, and they just came out with Battle Angels. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see them buff some things that help Battle Angels and stuff like that actually work. Like,
yeah,
dude, I was trying to rune cleave just to start this season, just because I knew balance patch is only going to be 2 weeks away, so I was just going to make something to just power through wings for the first 2 weeks. And like, dude, that red string master is so bad. Like, her attack bar boost is so low. My Lucian has to be 300 speed to be tuned to my freaking red string master. Like, fuck that, dude. I'm not playing that. Well, okay, 290. Yeah. I mean,
Talking about
my red string was 241 speed, or 341 speed, but
the fact you gain 15 bar, you shouldn't have to. But I guess if you're worried if someone can still cut in between that has a similar, like 240 set on whoever you're competing with. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Well, no, it's not. The way tuning works, though, is that a speed tick happens between everything that moves. So all of your units have to be up above the threshold in order for all to move and none to get cut. So if you wanted to tune just the Lucian, if the only thing that needed to move after the red string was Lucian, you could probably do like 180, and then your third unit would immediately get cut, right? But if you want Lucian to not get cut, then I was using Dominic and Red Battle Angel. They all need to be, in my case, they needed to be plus 190, which I just, I mean, my Lucian was doing like 8k. I'm not going to run that. Thing's useless. Like, it's just pointless, but.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, but then the same set on Bastet, you can use Lucian at like 140 or 240, whatever. So it's like, but her base speed's too low. So Cleave is just fucked. They're screwed. Damage Cleave. What the hell is that thing?
I just thought talking about string masters. Like, do you think that thing can work?
Is that the one who goes
he
into
gonna
her song
move
the
to get
second
it?
she gets hit?
It
How are
doesn't.
you gonna give a bar?
It doesn't need to move. Like the passive
Yeah.
says, whenever
Oh,
it's
it's
touched, it
Yeah,
starts
it goes
playing the
into its
song.
song. Yeah.
So basically, when you're playing it into like an AOE CC kind of team, and the
It's
AOE
good versus
stripper
Oliver.
moves,
Yeah.
then she already moves.
Yeah, I actually fought that a couple times last season when I was using like Water Ryu Oliver, because then it activates when the Water Ryu goes. Obviously, she goes into her song, and then every time Oliver moves, he takes 5% of his health away. So
Yeah,
it actually works pretty good against him, but probably pretty terrible against Dominic right now.
yeah, not into Dominic Marshall right now,
Yeah.
but like into
Which is what those
into
comps
still
have
like
kind of morphed into. But yeah,
I didn't really get to test it that much yet. Like, yeah,
it's pretty good versus Water Ryu.
Versus what? Was fire?
Versus Water Ryu.
Water Ryu, yeah.
Like teams that are initiated by Water Ryu.
Yeah, that's what I was where I was thinking to use her as well. But I only picked her once, and then like the opponent, I don't know, you missed 3 strips or something, and then you just insta left. So I like
you
it's
don't even get to
100%
see.
win rate, but
Yeah.
she didn't really do anything.
Yeah, you don't even get to see.
He gets that title, too bad. That's it. 100% win rate.
Yeah, most OP unit in this box.
Yeah.
What about that Water Shadowcaster? Has that been has he been justified? Like, does he work as a legitimate turn 2 or no?
I don't know. I tried them like I pulled them like on the day they came out.
Yeah.
And I immediately tried it on like a slower build with like attack crit damage attack.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked quite okay. And then I tried to speed tune him to my comp, and then I don't know, it didn't really work anymore. I guess because he did do like less damage per hit, so he wasn't able to self-sustain himself that well. And now I switched the runes around just recently, like last week or something. So he's now on higher attack for more damage, but still speed tuned. So I just kind of raised the rune quality, I guess.
Yeah.
But I didn't get to try it yet.
Oh, okay. You remember how fast it was from before?
It was
That,
like plus 80 or something like that.
I feel like you still just get stomped on through like a Dominic easily, like just
everything gets stomped on by a Dominic. That is the problem.
Yeah, it's not a unit that I would pick into like a wind heavy draft.
No, for sure,
right?
no.
So the condition
get
would
more
be
ideas out of you. Don't stop. I'm trying to get more ideas out of you. What do I need to do? Because you
just drop all your units by 50 speed.
There's 100 res 150 speed.
Yeah.
Because for me, I feel like my turn 2 is just not possible without an Abellio Juno or Kinky or like well, yeah, like I don't even have a Kinky, but that's whatever. That's expected. But not having a Abellio Juno for me is, I feel like that's what stops me from trying to be.
Is that on Vampire?
No, it's on Despair.
What? Crit damage.
Yeah, but she's ruined since season 12, I think, which was before Artifacts. So back then you kind of had to go for it. And also when you're running on my speed level, what else would you go for?
That's true. Yeah. Unless you wanted to just go mega attack power. I don't know.
How much does that do per hit?
I think it's like 2.2k without defense break, I think, or 2.3 maybe.
Okay.
But then into defense break, it's obviously way more valuable than
that's where
additional
crit
damage stuff
comes in. Yeah.
Yeah, and since I usually pair her with Anaval,
it makes sense.
That's oftentimes the defense break. Yeah, but nowadays I would prefer it on Vamp or Triple Revenge even.
Yeah, Triple Revenge is actually fucking toxic. I fought a few of those recently.
Triple Revenge and Nora. What do you mean? You can't do both.
Just put everything on Triple Revenge. Fuck it.
Like that's like a 121, 122 efficiency set. I just can't build that on Triple Revenge.
I'm gonna slow down my turn 2 units. You're changing my mind on, because like even when I'm like building my own turn 2 units for like when I have to pivot when people steal shit, like I still like aim for like 150, 160.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm never gonna move if I don't like go in that. But you're changing my opinion on that because
Actually,
like,
do you know if the speed tick and that I don't know. Do you play Siege? Do you do a lot of Siege, Liver, or no?
Not really, no.
That because I was hoping. Well, because I know there was a speed tick difference. I heard at least between Siege and RTA.
yeah,
And for Siege, for like what
there
maybe
is.
it's not spoiling. Everyone knows this in Siege, so it's not spoiling anything. That 126 is like the good sweet spot. So like when everyone takes their turn, you can't necessarily get lapped as easily by really high speed units. Like in the 180s, or because sometimes with a little bit of bar manipulation or without bar manipulation, sorry. If you're at 126, depending on base speed and towers, yada yada yada, 126 is a sweet spot so you don't get heavily lapped on. Do you know if that's kind of a similar number in Siege, or you don't know anything about tick speeds in RTA?
It's
I
not
never
going to
really
be
cared
that.
about it.
It's not going to be that in RTA. The ticks
Just a
are
question.
much smaller, and a lot more of them happen in RTA than in any other content. It's only different for RTA, but it's 1.5% in RTA. So
1.5. Oh, like for the bar
that,
game
that's
or
how
tick.
much you gain. Yeah.
And that doesn't matter for what speed you're sitting at, right?
Well, it's 1.5 of your total speed. That's how much percentage attack bar
1.5
you
of your
get.
total speed. Okay.
I think it's 1.5. I'd have to double check that, but I just have I just throw it on a sheet where it just tells me like
No, I don't care. I just
where
tune
the
everything and go with that. But I'm thinking if I want to like maximize the efficiency on certain turn 2 units, that I would want to still meet a minimum speed and not just like you. I push 150, 160 and say this is a turn 2 unit, which obviously it doesn't work. So maybe you just gotta
I would
increase the efficiency like a madman.
I think like the 1+120 +130 range is like it's good because you can still pull off something. I guess I mean it's a stupid example because it's a unit with high base speed, but
Yeah, no, but it's still
this,
still
like this unit has like 0 speed, 0
yeah, you get
speed.
to just throw in some of those
Yeah,
super
and
juice runes.
suddenly your rune pool just gets way larger because you
Yep.
can use all those slow runes as well.
Mm-hmm. So you feel 120, 130 doesn't. You don't notice you're getting heavily lapped on though. The 120, 130s.
I mean, I struggle. I can't. Like, are you still talking about Siege or?
No.
No.
For Siege, Siege is
Okay.
just I was just saying the example of Siege where there's a specific number 126, like including your base speed, not plus 126. I mean a total of 126.
226. But
Yeah, or sorry, yes, plus 226. Yes, sorry. I was using that example if you know there's a similar number that's specific in RTA, but Ziggy just says 1.5% of your or 1.5 takeoff total bar gain. But now from your experience running this team, running between plus 120 plus 130, do you notice that some units are lapping you too many times, or 130 lets you move once before they get to move a second time? If you're not noticing that
Like
someone's using
the only thing where it's like rough
there's
is
no way.
when you have a lot of attack bar control against you, like the typical like more chunk punk kind of stuff, or like even Oliver. Like you're not moving if you don't have some sort of unit that like either a chroma that cannot be controlled or like Antares or that kind of stuff that somehow in different ways gain a turn. Like those obviously lap you a lot, but against standard bruiser comms, maybe sometimes it's annoying when there's a ragdoll. Like a ragdoll with like Riley or something, that can be annoying in certain situations, but it depends a lot on the draft. It's not necessarily a problem, but it can be.
Okay.
But else than
I guess
that,
it is really hard to talk about in RTA just because there's the magnitude of fucking attack bar manipulation is insane. Where like even trying to focus on it doesn't
You're
benefit.
never gonna get like organically lapped if you're even if you're just like at 200. You're not gonna get organic. They'd have to be in the 400s. Like that's just simple math. They would literally have to be in the 400s to organically lap you, like two turns to
just
one.
to give an example, like when when people were running Wusa a lot in that meta,
Yep.
On fast Violet, which
their best
I guess
sets,
it would be like 280 or something, and you would still get into the situation where like I'm out of strips, and if he doesn't proc, I still get that window of throwing in the Annabelle S3 between his immunities.
Yep.
So
okay,
even that's fine. Like the window is small, but it technically can work.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna reevaluate my turn 2 units.
Oh my
I'm gonna slow them
I'm gonna
down.
reevaluate my Orochi. Gotta build them.
What I've been trying recently though is like Kinky with Triple Revenge Suki, and I've been picking it into like every like water Ryu that I've been fighting, like when they steal my Ryu. And the last couple that I fought, my revenges, if the Suki activates, and obviously Kinky always activates, I've just killed the Ryu. Like he just dies. If I get the defense break on the first swing of the Onimushas, I just kill it in the revenge. He just dies on turn 1 S2ing me.
Did you optimize it for skins as well?
Is that I haven't even thought of that. No, I have the skin on both of them. I don't know.
I had Fengyan and Leona standing there.
Yeah.
Both with skins, and Leona was actually getting the first revenge hit, and Fengyan was revenging after that, so I had to take off the Guardian skin, so revenge.
Yeah.
So the Fengyan
I gotta look at that. I gotta see which one technically revenges first, because I think the Suki hits harder, so I want the Kinky to hopefully be the first to swing. But right now they're on the same skin, so I don't know, because they're the same unit. So which one hits first? I don't even know. Is it random?
It's also a pick order, like
pick order,
which position they are in also changes.
That's probably what it is.
Who revenges faster? It's so weird.
Fuck, I didn't even think of that.
I didn't think of it either until I got into that situation where I was like, okay, that would have been better if the Leona would have hit into the defense like and not before it.
Yeah, that's cool. And I guess they both have the same skill. Yeah. For when it's double Onimusha, it's weird because they both hit pretty similar damage, so it might not matter as much for me, but I guess I would want the one with more accuracy to swing first, just to have a better chance. But I've been picking that a lot recently. I won a bunch of games with it last night because I was just like, man, fuck these guys. They steal my Ryu and they take Oliver and Masha, so it's Triple Revenge Suki on a gajillion stats and Kinky.
Did you max res it?
My Kinky's on max res for the first time ever. I never did that previously, but now with Masha, she was like beating my Kinky, and I'm like, no, I get no more of this.
So it's become justified to go 100 res.
Yeah, Suki though is not max res. He's just a stat stick. But
well, this is a perfect time for like you and I guess, benefiting from Livert quite a bit today, to test our turn 2 nonsense before patch hits and see if anything new comes out from it anyway. I'm not gonna go full hard into it.
I just do it when people steal my units, because I'm not gonna pick backup units into their main units. That's just it's just suicide. You have to have like a pivot of some sort.
I like the idea. Just bump down to 130. So I was doing the same thing. I was just rooting my turn 2, quote unquote turn 2.
Yeah, 160, 170. Yeah. I was doing the same thing, and I'm just lacking so many stats for doing it. But
it makes no sense. And then when you really think about it, if you're losing so much efficiency on just surviving, because that's really what annoys us the most, right? When they survive, on top of resisting everything, they survived like with like enough HP. We're like, okay, I've just done for now, and so that's I guess it seems like common sense, but I'm pretty dumb, I guess.
The only tough part about it is like when you're running at this kind of speed, you're really forced into turn 2. Where when you're going for like the 260 to 280 range with speed leads and stuff, I guess you can still go for like a pivot into turn 1 basically. That's how you have the choice of what you want to do, and I don't really have that choice. Like I need to build the Hagang, for example. Like he's not really speed tuned to my comp
too fast, right?
He's too fast because otherwise he wouldn't even move.
Exactly.
Before.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, we're right at the hour mark, so but
that was
good. I was very surprised to see that you're 100 res on like everything, because I always just tell myself like, man, there's no fucking way these guys have 100 res. They're just sacking me, but I guess not. I guess everything is just 100 res.
I am going to call this the most educational podcast I have ever personally had. For me,
we were the ones who got educated.
Yeah, well, we're two turn one bozos, ooga boogas. What the fuck? Of course, we're gonna learn. Well, see what are we missing out on? And some of it is different from how I used to play turn 2 myself. Other than the addition of Nyx with the additional RNG on top of 100 res, which never worked for me anyway. But slowing down and this fucking Orochi dude is my favorite idea of all time. 100. I don't care if it fails.
Livert probably hasn't picked it in like 2 years. It's just still in his box, and Firas is like baffled by it.
The idea is so fucking good for people. Like, not like I'm not like just per like people like. Okay, I only have one good Swift set. Coincidentally, it's crit rate. You know what? I have this nutty HP additional damage, which only belongs pretty much on an Orochi. It's a free to play unit technically. You fully skill it. You pull this one unit, it's either gonna fully allow your turn 2 comp to go through, or they gotta most likely lose I don't know Orochi's damage to make this claim yet, but if they let their Orochi through, and he can one-shot one of the 3 units that are key to that comp, you're like, it sounds so good to me. Maybe I'm just delusional. I don't fucking know, but I'll find out soon. Next week.
I can send you a video, like, or we can talk about it after if you want. Because I actually used it like
we're pushing over our like we said, but I don't know. To me, that's my favorite thing of the whole podcast was seeing this Orochi idea, and I hope other people can implement it too. If this piss off so many people, if that's what ends like certain LD comps.
Tomorrow night's wings, my Ciara is just gonna get popped by like 6 Orochis, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna take the video down.
That's the true meta right there is Orochi. We never knew. Everyone's crying about Destiny. Wait till you see a Swift Orochi just ruin your life.
All right. Well, thank you very much, sir. Good luck on the rest of your season.
I appreciate your
turn 2 knowledge.
Your turn 2 knowledge. It was very beneficial. I hope everyone who's watching is gonna benefit from it as well, and maybe we'll change the world. No, we're not. But thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys, and yeah, glad I can help, and I hope I earned the title.
I think you earned the title, yes.
The turn 2 champion. All right.
Turn 2 champion, but actually makes sense.
All right. Thank you.
All
Peace out.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.